Hello, welcome. Recently, I made a video where I went over what I thought to be the 10 worst pieces of magic art of all time. I thought that I would make something a little more positive this time and go over what I believe to be the top 10 best pieces of magic art ever. This one's a little trickier because I find that it's a lot easier to point out things that you don't like on a piece of artwork, whereas pointing out why you like it, sometimes you just like the way that it looks and it's harder to pick out why that is. So I'm going to attempt to give you details as to what I like about these pieces. Also, it's harder because there's a lot more good magic art than there is bad magic art. There's thousands and thousands of cards, so picking out the 10 best was difficult for a lot of these. It was just me going back through the sets and finding the cards that I used to love to play because of the art, and cards that I used to go back and look at all the time. Obviously, this is very subjective, and I don't think anybody else's list would look like this, but so this is obviously just my personal list. So let's jump into it. At number 10, I have Topiary Stomper. I've always loved this card. As soon as it came out, I loved the artwork. I love the dinosaur's head for some reason. I love that it's a big dinosaur smashing through a city. It reminds me of Jurassic Park 2 at the end of that movie. The only reason this is at number 10 and not farther up the list is because as I was making this video and inspecting the art further, I realized that it's not actually a T-Rex, which I thought it was all along. I didn't realize it has those back legs. So it's not a T-Rex. Still very cool looking, but it loses some points. I think it would look better if it didn't have the back legs and it was just a T-Rex. So anyways, that's number 10 on the list. Then at number 9, I have Locksit on Smiter, which is a card that I used to love to play back when it was in Standard. This one, I just think the overall art quality is really good. I think that the artist did a good job of making it look like the hammer has weight to it, if that makes sense. I also like that on the one side of him, the horn is broken off, but then also the ear is damaged as well. So you can tell that he's been in a lot of battles, and at some point he got hit sort of from the side, and it took out the horn and the ear. So I like that cool detail on that. Just overall a cool piece of artwork. Then at number 8, I have the original Garrick Wildspeaker. Really, the entire cycle of the original 5 Planeswalkers could be in this spot. Garrick just happens to be my favorite of the 5. But I really feel like they've never really, as far as Planeswalker art goes, I feel like it never got better than the original 5 as far as art style goes. I think the artist did a really good job on these. I wish that they had this artist just do all Planeswalker art. But I remember when these first came out in Lorwyn. It's around the time when I started playing Magic. And I remember looking at these and thinking that this was a huge jump up in art quality for Magic overall. So very cool, and that is my number 8. Then at number 7, I have Thundermaw Hellkite. This one was harder for me to explain why I like it. Obviously, it's just a cool dragon, but I think the quality of the artwork is extremely high. I really like the little highlights, the light highlights on it. I think it really gives it a lot of depth to it. But yeah, just a really cool dragon, honestly. And I used to always look at this artwork. Then at number 6, I have Ajani, Caller of the Pride. Ajani is my favorite, I don't know why, but Ajani is my favorite character in all of Magic everything. And this is my favorite picture of my favorite character. I think for this one, I like the lighting and the colors. It's almost like a sunset behind him, I think. But I really like the axe. I think it was drawn very cool. I like how big the blades are. And it kind of leads your eye through the image, if that makes sense. So Ajani, Caller of the Pride, one of my favorites. Then at number 5, we have yet another Planeswalker. This one is the original Soren Markov. I just think, once again, that the overall art quality is really good. I remember looking through this set and looking through all the cards and feeling like this art was so much better than every other piece of artwork in this set that it actually stood out. And there's some good art in this set. I think it's the original Innistrad, I believe. But I remember this one standing out as being so much better than everything else from the set. And this would make a really cool poster, I feel. So yeah, that's number 5. Then at number 4, I have Imperial Archangel. And this is from Shards of Alara. And I used to love this card. I used to always wish that it was better in Standard so I could play it more. I remember always trying to force this into decks. and it was just never good enough for standard, which was sad. But I love how it's sort of got this like painting look to it. I think that the wings look amazing, and also I love the sort of dress, how it's all twisty and stuff like that. So I thought this was really, really cool. This is probably one of the few pieces of magic art that I could see actually like putting up like in my house as a painting, not as a magic thing, but just as a painting in general. So very, very cool, and one of my favorites of all time. Then at number 3, I have Butcher of the Horde. As soon as I saw this image, I thought it was awesome, partially because it's just a big, cool demon. But then I was trying to think about more of why I liked it so much. And I think the reason why is because of the quality of the anatomy in the drawing. Anybody who is an artist or draws at all knows how difficult it can be to capture like human anatomy. The artist that drew this one clearly knows their human anatomy because it looks amazing. One thing about this one, I think that when you're drawing fantasy and big demons and dragons and these characters, in order to make them look intimidating, a lot of artists think that the best thing to do is to make the muscles look huge and bulking. But I think in this situation, the character actually looks more intimidating because obviously he's very muscular and that, but because he's drawn very lean and muscular and not bulky and muscular, I think in this situation, it makes him actually look scarier and more intimidating. Clearly, if you look at the background, maybe I'm thinking too much into this, but I feel like this was an intentional choice by the artist. If you look at the background, you can tell that the character is in this sort of like, like barren wasteland, deserted kind of area where maybe food would be hard to come by. So it makes more sense that the character would be leaner and not have these like giant swollen muscles. And I think it just adds to the effect of the atmosphere of the picture. So just a really good job. Sorry if none of that really made sense or if it wasn't clear what I was trying to say there, but I just think that the way that he drew the character really adds to it, kind of thing. Anyways, that is my number 3 pick. Then at my number 2, I have Progenitus. This one has always been one of my favorites. I think that the atmosphere created in this image is awesome. I like how it's obviously very simple and it appears to almost be like it doesn't have a lot of details, but I think that it was done in a way that adds to the image in the sense of I feel like I can imagine being there and looking up at this thing and just like the massive scale of it. I imagine seeing it and it being very silent and maybe just hearing like wind and then like screeching in the background of this giant creature. So it just really paints the picture well. I also think it's got the coolest flavor text ever, which is "The soul of the world has returned." It just really makes it seem like this big epic event that Progenitus has arrived, kind of thing. So very, very cool. I've always loved this image. That is my number 2. Then my number 1 spot, the greatest magic art of all time in my opinion, is 2 images. It's cheating, but it's my list, so it's all good. And the reason why I've got 2 is because it's the same artist, and the artist's name is Raymond Swanland. And I believe that Raymond Swanland is by far the greatest magic artist of all time. Everything he does, I love. Also, he's got this awesome style that I can look through magic sets and not read the artist's names and pick out the Raymond Swanland art every single time. If you look at, so here I've got Vengevine and Wormcoil Engine. They're interchangeable for me. I love them both. You can tell when you look at them that they are from the same artist. At least I can. I'm sure you can too, though. He kind of has this way of using almost like spikes. It's like a collection of spikes almost. It's just a really cool style that he has. One thing that Raymond Swanland is a master of capturing in his artwork is a sense of movement, which if you're an artist at all, you know how difficult it can be to create a sense of movement in a still image. And every piece of his artwork that you look at, especially these 2, it looks like you can tell that the creatures are moving, and it looks like a video. They took a video of these creatures moving and they stopped it and took a picture while it was mid motion, and you're getting that picture, if that makes sense. So I love these both. One thing that always reminds me of how good of an artist Raymond Swanland is whenever I see one of these cards alternate art, so they'll get other artists to recreate the art of these, I always look at them and think, why they're not as good as Raymond Swanland. So why make new art for a card that already has perfect art? You know what I mean? Why make an alternate art that's worse than the original? Just have Raymond Swanland redo it if you have to. But yeah, so favorite artist, favorite magic art of all time, and that's my list. So I'm hoping that you enjoyed seeing my favorite magic art. I would love to see what your favorite magic art pieces of all time are. So please comment below your favorite 1 or 2 or even 3 pieces of magic artwork. And I would love to check them out and see. Or if you have a favorite magic artist of all time, drop their name below so I can go check out their websites and see what they have. So anyways, that's it for now. Make sure you check out my previous video where I talked about my least favorite magic artwork, and I have a bunch of videos like this, magic related content, coming out soon. So subscribe if you'd like to see that, and I will see you in the next video.